Hello, I'm Zaeema Jihan from First Capital Holdings PLC, bringing to you the Economic Watch for the month of June with updates from the previous month. As usual, the following content will be discussed during the video. Starting off with the CBSL update, CBSL reassures its commitment to ensuring the availability of foreign exchange through the banking system for importation of essential food items. The CBSL is continuously working with the banking community in order to ensure the facilitation of essential goods imports. Following the restrictions imposed on payment terms and introducing of the exchange rate determination mechanism, there has been significant moderation of activity in the grey market. This has resulted in foreign exchange inflows routing through to the banking system, thereby increasing foreign exchange liquidity conditions in the banking system. CBSL has also commenced negotiations with the trade association and other parties who are engaged in importing essential goods. Accordingly, a preliminary assessment is being carried out with the participation of several government authorities to identify the availability of stocks of essential goods at present and the monthly requirement of the same in the ensuing period. Based on such findings, an arrangement would be put in place to ensure imports of essential goods in required quantities and frequency, along with the existing arrangement agreed by the Government of India to utilize the existing line of credit to import essential goods. The CBSL, the Sri Lanka Customs, and the Ministry of Trade, along with other agencies, are taking measures to clear the imported goods that are being held at the customs, thereby minimizing costs to traders while releasing stocks to the market as a matter of priority. Moving on to inflation, CCPI for the month of May increased by 8.3%, with the increase in expenditure value of food items by 9.7% and increase of non-food items by 7.5%. Meanwhile, year-on-year inflation increased to 39.1%, with increase in food group to 57.4%, while non-food group increased to 30.6% during the month of May. Analyzing CCPI on a month-on-month basis, CCPI recorded an increase of 8.3% month-on-month, and this was contributed by an increase in expenditure value of food items by 3.47% and non-food items by 4.87%. Within the food items, increase in value changes were mainly reported for vegetables, sea fish, rice, bread, and dried fish. And among non-food groups, increase in value changes were reported for the groups of transport, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, miscellaneous goods and services, restaurant, and hotels. Analyzing CCPI on a year-on-year basis, year-on-year inflation of CCPI for the month of May was 39.1%, and this has increased compared to the previous month. The contribution from food category for year-on-year inflation was 18.3%, while the contribution of non-food items was 20.84%. Moving on to NCPI. NCPI for the month of April increased to 33.8% compared to the month of March. Accordingly, year-on-year food inflation increased to 45.1%, while non-food inflation increased to 23.9%. Moving on to M2B and credit growth, private sector credit improved by 478 billion rupees in the month of March, sustaining the positive growth momentum for the 20th consecutive month, while state credit reflected a net borrowing of 759.6 billion. Moving on to liquidity and reserves, foreign reserves improved to 1.9 billion USD in the month of May compared to 1.8 billion USD in the month of April over the deferment of payments to India under an Asian clearing union. Meanwhile, market liquidity remained negative and witnessed a slight volatility during the month of May. Moving on to the currency movement, LKR witnessed a slight depreciation during the beginning of the month, but however, it remained broadly stable during the rest of the month, and Sri Lankan rupee witnessed depreciation against other global currencies as well. Moving on to the government securities, during the month of May, there were maturities worth 406.9 billion and new issues worth 356.2 billion, creating a deficit of 50.7 billion. CBSL holdings of government securities increased by 106.9 billion in the month of May. Moving on to treasury bills and bonds, secondary market yield curve started to invert on mid-tenor maturities and no rates were quoted for bonds maturing beyond 7 years. As the month progressed, belly end of the yield curve edged down gradually, while market participants opted to be on the sidelines. With the emerged buying interest, along with CBSL's decision to keep policy rates unchanged, yields tailed off while the weekly bill auction yields tapered. Moving on to finance sector rate movements. During the month of May, AWPR displayed a sharp increase while AWDR also increased, creating an interest spread of 14.13%. Moving on to the external sector performance. Exports for the month of March declined by 3.4% year-on-year to 1.1 billion USD, and this was mainly due to the decrease in earnings in agricultural exports and mineral exports, although there was an increase in industrial exports. In terms of imports, import expenditure too declined by 5.6% year-on-year to 1.8 billion USD during the month of March, and this was due to a decline in expenditure in import of consumer goods and investment goods, while there was an increase recorded in import of intermediate goods. With that, balance of trade was recorded at negative 762 billion. Balance of payment for January to March 2022 recorded at negative 2.3 billion USD, compared to January to March 2021 amount of negative 1.1 billion USD. Workers' remittances declined to 318 million USD in the month of March, which is a year-on-year decline of 48%. However, earnings from tourism for the month of March improved to 192 million USD from 12 million USD recorded in the month of March 2021. Total number of tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka during the month of May was 30,207. This is a month-on-month decline of 52%. The largest source markets recorded for the month of May were India, United Kingdom, Russia, Germany, and Canada. Moving on to the global market, a mixed sentiment was witnessed in the global market, with some indices recording gains and some indices recording losses. With that, we have come to an end of the Economic Watch. Stay tuned with us for more updates in the coming month. Thank you.